Hello, welcome back to Black Book Stacks, and I am your host, Hoshonda Sanders, who's gonna mess with her blind while we talk so that you can actually see me. There you go. All right, cool. So, welcome back. Thank you for your likes and your shares and your subscriptions. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the little notification button so you can see when I upload a new review or a haul or an unhaul or whatever is happening around here these days. So this is a review of a new edition of a book that I love very much called Sister Outsider. This is a Penguin Vitae series. It is kind of a new design for some old classics. They're not just Black books, but the ones, they're just like Penguin classics. And so here's what the description is. What classic books would you place together on a shelf to represent the course of your life? This is the question that sparks our hardcover series, Penguin Vitae, or loosely translated, Penguin of One's Life. And so this is about inviting readers to curate their own personal Penguin Classics canon from the series. And so these are gift editions, and Paul Buckley designed the typographic covers, which is inspired by each work with vibrant foil stamping and colored end papers. Anyway, it's just gorgeous. I love kind of the inside here, and then like this is really pretty. You can put your name here, and then this gold kind of foil wrapping is beautiful. And so this is, obviously very different from the original publication. They're about the same length, give or take a couple pages. This is about 183 pages. And I think it's just smaller print because the original edition that I have, I don't think this is a first edition, but this is a 1984 book that I picked up somewhere from the Crossing Press Feminist series, and I believe this has been republished by other presses, but I don't know. Anyway, this is my original copy. I am a huge fan of Audre Lorde. I have been since I was a little girl. One of the first books I read from her was Zami, Z-A-M-I, A New Spelling of My Name, which was her autobiography or something amazing like that. And it's one of my most cherished books I've had because I haven't had that many books since I was a teenager because we moved a lot, but that's one of the books that I've had for a really long time. And one of the first things that struck me about Audre Lorde's voice is how pure and authentic and kind of fearless it was. I've been watching the Netflix documentary about the assassination of Malcolm X, and a couple of people have said things about how fearless his voice was. And so that was one of the things that I attributed not only to Malcolm X and to others who would follow in terms of Black leadership and other movements and stuff like that I admire, but also in people like Audre Lorde and James Baldwin, Lorraine Hansberry. These are people who have this sort of clarity of voice that I find so fascinating. And as a young writer in particular, I was moved by Audre Lorde writing about things that I had never seen kind of captured before. I think I've talked in the past about poetry is not a luxury. So I taught this at the New School, and it's about poetry being not only, this is how she puts it, dream and vision. It is the skeleton architecture of our lives. It lays the foundations for a future of change, a bridge across our fears of what has never been before. For within living structures defined by profit, by linear power, by institutional dehumanization, our feelings were not meant to survive. So, I talk about this as a creative person, especially in terms of thinking about, the name of the course was Subversive Joys, Writing the Senses as Resistance. And so when I think about what is possible, beginning, if you're talking about social change, political change, any of that stuff, part of where that begins is with how much energy you feel like you have within you and what you can use that energy for. And so, she also has these beautiful and really like sort of calls to action about the transformation of silence into language and action. She was obviously also, anyone who knows about Audre Lorde understands that she had cancer, and part of, I think, some of the vulnerability and the strength in her messages have to do with her reminding people that silence does not protect you, so that quote comes from a lecture she delivered where she was basically revealing that she had and struggled with cancer, and that there were things that she felt, for a long time, if she had been silent about them, maybe she would be somehow protected by the reality of life. But in fact, she found the opposite to be true, and she speaks like incredibly eloquently about that. So what I love about this new publication of Sister Outsider is that it comes with this amazing foreword from Mahogany Brown, who's a beautiful writer. And it's worth it, I would say, to have this new edition, or to gift this new edition to someone who really loves Lorde, in part because I think Mahogany does an amazing job of describing the anger, Black women's anger, and kind of the taboo, sort of the way we're socialized kind of out of our anger. And Audre Lorde is kind of like the queen of, kind of really breaking down all of the baggage that Black people have around expressing our anger, specifically Black women and femmes. And so this is incredible to kind of get a new perspective on this from Mahogany, who kind of both charts her personal relationship and knowledge of Audre Lorde's canon, while also doing as Audre Lorde did, echoing kind of how those personal feelings become political or become politicized, but in an empowering way that kind of centers Black women, right? So Black women are the ones who are doing the politicizing. It's not something that's coming to bear in their lives without their permission. And so here she writes, Lorde, always facilitating conversations that decenter whiteness, remains my foundation when reevaluating my own voice and my body. The body can be an echo chamber full of chaotic noise. We vibrate energies pushed back into the space given to us, both light and dark, grief and joy. The Black woman can tremor resilience and remorse, trauma suppression and survival, joy as resistance, and liberation as fashion. The Black woman aesthetic is trendsetting in its ability to adore. Let me read that again. The Black woman aesthetic is trendsetting in its ability to endure. Hence, Black Don't Crack and other elements of Black folklore that sing praise of a restored body that appears youthful despite systematic pitfalls designed to create a future of hopelessness. So anyway, really valuable renewal of, I think, Sister Outsider in its original form. It's largely been unedited, and so definitely one to pick up and think about, especially as we transition from Black History Month into Women's History Month. I'm probably going to be doing an overlap of those and focusing on Black women as usual. Really surprising, I know. Anyway, thanks again for your likes, shares, and subscribes. I hope that you enjoyed this review of Sister Outsider, particularly in its new form. Let me know in the comments what your experience has been reading Lorde, if you have a favorite essay in the Sister Outsider collection, if you're a fan of Mahogany Brown, as I am, and yeah, let me know what you feel like in the comments. Until then, talk to you next time.